Chip Rocan Show with Anna DeBlantis off for another day of broadcast insolence and so much to get to here. A lot of legalities that we have to crawl through here. It's days like this where I think that my parents were right. I should have been a lawyer. I should have just gone to law school because I could have still done this because this is all we do all day long. It's a lawsuit. It's criminal case after lawsuit after criminal case. The first 2 hours, we'll talk to some of the principals here in the Bali coverage. That's coming up. Sofia Vergara is in a lawsuit over her eggs.
That's so interesting, that whole case. It really is like the Modern Family.
Yeah. And this case here in Chicago in 26th of California, that the criminal case against the police officer who fatally shot a woman in an incident in Douglas Park a couple of years ago. And he was released by a judge yesterday after the judge determined that the prosecution, the state's attorney, did not meet their burden of proof in their prosecution of him. There are some really interesting legal ramifications to this. And what was it all about? And it turns out there may have just been some pretty fascinating political ramifications to it. I'm not just talking about the whole, like sort of post-Ferguson political reality in America. There may be some local political realities to what occurred there. We have some insight into that. So we'll do that. That's all coming your way in the first 90 minutes. Stay right here. Important stuff. All right. First, let's start with Christy Gutowski from the Chicago Tribune, who has been the lead reporter on covering the murder of Mrs. Van Wees Mack in Bali, and now the trial of her daughter and the daughter's boyfriend. And Christy, were you surprised by the not the verdict, but the sentence of 10 years for Heather Mack?
Hi, Ro. Well, it was interesting. They're about 12 hours ahead of us, as you guys know. So about, I'd say, 2:30, we started getting word. His sentence came first, premeditated murder, 18 years. And hers came a bit later, 10 years. And, there's been a lot of speculation about the Indonesian criminal justice system. And, they've taken measures to rid their system of corruption and bribery, but there's still been a lot of allegations, as Heather, she has a trust with $1.5 million in it. So I wasn't sure what to expect, to be honest with you, but the judges cited that she's a new mother and her testimony, and that they felt that it was a just sentence. The family doesn't agree, but that's where we're at.
Well, it is interesting, and I hate to get all spy novel-y or sleuth novel-y with you, but it is interesting that her attorneys, we had her two of the Chicago-based attorneys in yesterday talking about this, that she's asked for 1/3 of the trust fund to be opened up for this child. Now, you do wonder, 1/3 of it would be about $500,000, somewhere between $400,000 and $500,000 by our estimation here. So the question is, who gets that money? Because the baby doesn't really get the money; it goes to the support of the baby. So who in Indonesia would get that, and where does that all come into play? Is there any speculation here that is anything to do with a more lenient sentence?
I don't know the answer to that. That's a really good question.
It is a good question, though, right? It's a question that I think a lot of people are going to start asking on our side of the pond here.
I do think that it's going to get real interesting here in Chicago. So a lot of, we've been watching what's happening in Bali, but I think a focus is going to turn here to a Cook County Chancery and courtroom soon, because Illinois has what's called the Slayer statute. You know what that is, right?
Yes.
You can't benefit. Yeah.
You can't kill someone and benefit from their death.
Correct. So we're waiting to find out exactly what she was convicted of, because it wasn't real clear. It was a verbal, oral judgment verdict, and they have 2 weeks to submit their written one. And they don't have court reporters, I guess, in Bali. So getting transcripts isn't, that easy. So we're trying to find out if she was convicted of premeditated, which some of the reports are saying, then under the Slayer statute, she can't get that money, and Stella would be next. But there's argument that even Stella, the baby, can't get it. The third in line is the uncle, Bill Weiss from Colorado. So this is going to be argued probably until we're in retirement. So we shall see. But if she was just convicted of being an accessory, there's going to be a lot of legal arguments, and the lawyers are going to be fighting it to the death. Yeah.
Very
I mean,
busy.
they've already gotten about $300,000 worth of this.
Oh my
There's
gosh.
so many lawyers involved.
Let's talk about the whole. I think many of us expected that this would be a harsher sentence, and we even talked to the attorneys yesterday, as Rose stated, and it seemed like, well, they were hoping it would be lesser, but no one really, it was somewhat of a surprise. I think it's fair to say that she got 10 years. What is it that the 3-judge panel said about the baby and how much that weighed on this decision to bring the sentence down from what the prosecutors had recommended, which was the 15-year?
Right, and that was sort of interesting because the prosecutors were almost in when they went up there, they started, they're supposed to be the tough ones who are arguing in aggravation, and they were really arguing in mitigation. So their system is very different than ours, obviously. But the judges did cite the baby, the birth of the baby, that she's a new mother, and that she's been incredibly remorseful. So the newborn baby badly needs a mother's love and breastfeeding, is what one of the judges was quoted as saying.
Well,
and she can keep that baby with her for 2 years.
And then you do wonder, I mean, in Bali, this would be an interesting thing if you follow the money, which is always the rule in Cook County, right? It's a rule in almost any criminal endeavor. But since Cook County is best known for being a criminal conspiracy to begin with, you should always follow the money. So in Bali, one would imagine it's far worse there. And who knows if that money for the maintenance of Stella, the newborn, actually is going to get funneled through somebody there who's part of the criminal justice system, who then gives her the 10-year sentence so that they can get the money. I mean, who knows? And I think that's a suspicion I've heard on more than one occasion here, and something worth asking. I'm not saying it's right, because I don't know it to be true, but it's certainly a question that should be answered before any of the more money is let there.
Yes, and I think that they'll be back in the Chicago courtroom this week because Heather's just about out of money. There is another $40,000. Remember, Judge Cohen capped it at $150,000, and there's still another $40,000 that still needs to go there. He's gotten about $120,000 or a little less so far. So who knows? But Tommy Schaefer's mother is there. So she is, many times you see her in photographs and on the side caring for the baby. So, and there's supposedly a lot of good Samaritans there assisting as well. So, we're waiting to see, and Heather has not made this decision according to her attorney, who I just hung up with before coming to you guys. She's debating what to do. She wants her baby with her, but she knows, the best thing for the baby is not to be raised in a prison.
Yeah. That's a tough decision.
Up until 2 years old. I mean, and then after that, the baby does have to leave. The child has to leave the prison after 2 years of age. And it is interesting because, she released that statement through her attorneys here, which is basically a prayer for her mother, but she killed her mother. I miss my mother and my father very much, but you killed your mother. That's
why you're there.
She says she was hiding in the bathroom. She says she did not assist, and that she did try to call police repeatedly afterwards, but got answering machines, and then that they were on their way to go to the U.S. consulate when they freaked and left. So who knows? There's been several statements, as you know, from this couple.
Oh, yeah. I know it. All right. Christy, thank you so much.
Thanks,
Great
Christy.
coverage in the Chicago Tribune. Yeah. Christy Gutowski is the reporter on that. Thank you. We're going to talk to the guy who actually was in communication with the mom here, emailing back and forth, whose emails did make it into this court case, showing that there had been fear on behalf of the mom about the daughter and also the boyfriend. And also proving that they knew about that the mom knew about her pregnancy, about Heather's pregnancy prior to going to Bali, which was part of the case here, was that she freaked out over the pregnancy. She was told and turned physical and violent. So we're going to talk to that guy and his reaction. His name is Elliot Jacobson. His reaction to the case, to the verdict, and to the sentence. Talking about the conviction of Heather Mack and Tommy Schaefer in Bali for the death of Heather's mother. And an interesting twist in this story came a couple of weeks ago when the Chicago Tribune actually unearthed a number of emails that were trafficked between Heather's mom and our next guest, Elliot Jacobson. And Elliot Jacobson, as I seem to recall, Elliot, it's probably better if you describe your relationship with Heather's mom more than we do, but you've been friends for a long time and confidants. Is that about right?
Yeah, we met in 1983 when I came from California to Illinois to run a political campaign and was introduced to Sheila von Weiss by